Hello! Let's talk about a very important time in our history. The year was 1919, a year of great pain for India. After the tragedy of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the nation was looking for a new path forward, a path that needed great unity and a strong moral purpose. Today, we will explore how this new chapter in India's freedom struggle began.
You see, the repression that followed the Rowlatt Act was truly brutal. We all know about the horror of Jallianwala Bagh, but there were also these deeply humiliating orders, like the crawling orders you see in this picture. All of this left the nation deeply wounded. It was becoming very, very clear that a much larger, more united struggle was needed to challenge the British Raj.
So, this is our lesson plan for today. First, we will look at why the nation was in such need of a new path. Then we'll discuss something called the Khilafat question. After that, we will understand Gandhiji's vision for unity, look at the actual plan for non-cooperation, and finally, see how a new chapter began.
All right, let's begin with our first section. You see, the Rowlatt Satyagraha was very important. It really shook the British, but it was mostly limited to the cities and towns. Mahatma Gandhi understood that if they were to truly challenge the might of the British Empire, the movement had to be much, much bigger. It needed to reach everyone, in every village, in every corner of India.
And this brings us to the main problem, the biggest challenge. How could you do that? Well, Gandhiji felt the answer was clear. He believed, very strongly, that no large movement could ever be successful without bringing Hindus and Muslims together. This unity, it wasn't just a nice idea. For him, it was absolutely necessary for achieving freedom. So, the question was, how to achieve this unity? The answer, surprisingly, came from something happening far away from India, an international event. This was what we call the Khilafat question, and it turned out to be the perfect opportunity to bring everyone together.
Let's understand the background here. The First World War had just finished, and Ottoman Turkey, which had fought against the British, was defeated. Now, there were rumors going around, rumors that a very harsh peace treaty was going to be forced upon the Ottoman Emperor. This caused a lot of worry among Muslims in India. Why? Because the emperor was also the Khalifa, the spiritual head of the entire Islamic world.
So let's be clear on what this term Khalifa means. The Khalifa, or Caliph, was seen as the spiritual and political leader for Muslims everywhere. His authority was incredibly important. So for the Muslims of India, protecting the Khalifa's position was a very serious religious duty. To defend the Khalifa, a special committee was set up. It was called the Khilafat Committee, and it was formed in Bombay in March 1919. A younger generation of Muslim leaders, like the famous Ali brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, started discussing this issue with Gandhiji and building support for this cause. Okay, so we have this powerful movement growing. Now, how did it connect to the larger freedom struggle? This is where we see Mahatma Gandhi's vision. He saw this Khilafat issue as more than just a religious problem. He saw it as a golden opportunity.
Gandhiji's idea was really quite brilliant. He felt that by supporting the Khilafat cause, he could bring Hindus and Muslims together. He saw it as a chance, as he said, to bring Muslims under the umbrella of a unified national movement. The idea was to unite against one common enemy, the British.
If you look at this timeline, you'll see how quickly everything happened. So in March 1919, the Khilafat Committee is formed. The very next month, April 1919, is when the terrible Jallianwala Bagh massacre happens. This created a lot of anger. By September of 1920, at a Congress session in Calcutta, Gandhiji convinced other leaders that they needed to support the Khilafat cause and also start a movement for Swaraj. And finally, by December 1920, at Nagpur, the non-cooperation program was officially adopted.
So, this brings us to the plan itself, the non-cooperation movement. It was a very new and powerful idea. But what did it actually mean? What was the plan of action?
Well, the main idea came from Gandhiji's famous book, Hind Swaraj. In it, he made a very simple but powerful point. He said that British rule was only able to survive in India because Indians themselves were cooperating with it. He believed that if Indians just refused to cooperate, British rule would collapse, and he thought it could happen within a single year.
So, how is this going to be done? Gandhiji proposed that the movement should unfold in stages. First, people should surrender any titles the government had given them. Next, they should boycott everything related to the British administration, the civil services, the army, police, even courts and schools. Third, there was a call to boycott foreign goods. And finally, If the government tried to use force to stop them, then they would launch a full civil disobedience campaign. Now, not everyone in the Congress was immediately convinced. There was a lot of discussion about this. Some leaders were worried that it could lead to violence. They were also hesitant to boycott the council elections that were scheduled for November 1920. For a while, it seemed like there was no agreement, but eventually, after a lot of debate, a compromise was worked out at the Congress session in Nagpur in December 1920, and the non-cooperation program was finally adopted.
And so, with the plan in place, a new chapter was about to begin. Let's look at how this movement actually started and how it united the nation.
The non-cooperation Khilafat movement finally began in January 1921, and it was incredible. Various social groups from all over the country participated. It was the first time that people with different backgrounds and their own specific dreams all came together in one single struggle. They all wanted Swaraj.
This picture here is a wonderful example of that unity. You can see leaders from different communities all working together. This movement truly created a united front, something that was very powerful against the British.
And the movement had a huge economic effect. Take the boycott of foreign cloth, for example. Between 1921 and 1922, its import value dropped from 102 crore rupees to just 57 crore. That's a drop of 45 crore rupees. In those days, that was a massive amount of money. It really showed the economic power of the Indian people when they stood together.
So what is the most important thing to remember from all of this? This was a real turning point. The struggle for freedom was no longer just for a few educated people in the cities. It had become a true mass movement. Millions of ordinary people, with their own hopes and their own problems, were now part of the struggle.
And this leaves us with a very important question to think about. How does a problem shared by many different people become a single, united national movement? The story of the Khilafat and non-cooperation movement gives us a lot to consider. Thank you for joining this session today.